Boom.
Okay, you have a mic, you have a mic.
You got a mic too.
Yes.
All right, Facebook, good morning. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. 11 o'clock. Push the door back, Antoine. We can get ready to roll.
Close the door.
Yeah, that way we don't disturb anybody doing
I'm
this.
gonna close the glass door so we don't get any stray.
Thank you. All right, Facebook, let's get ready to roll. That looks good.
It's been a wild week.
Huh?
It's been a wild week.
Yeah. Start your watch party so I can do the invites. Please. The Motor City burning. What? Don't forget to follow us on YouTube as well as Twitter. Twitter is Real Talk HG. You can also send any thoughts, comments, suggestions, or interview suggestions to realtalkwithherschel@gmail.com. realtalkwithherschel@gmail.com. The Rain Motel. Shots rang out.
Yes, it was fun. It was the only one. Just falling down, y'all. That ain't right. Goodness, people strange. Ain't no need for sunlight. Ain't no need for moonlight. Ain't no need for street light. Just burning real bright.
Very good, very good. I see you. Okay.
So you pop up with real time?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really? Huh. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm doing groups now.
Alright, I'm doing it about. I got it.
Hey, the motor city is burning, y'all.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Facebook. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yvonne, Lisa, what's going on, Ann? What's going on, D? We're getting ready to get started here in just a couple minutes. Appreciate y'all. Hey, Mr. Mika. Glad to see you watching. Latoya, thank you for joining. Everybody start your watch party. Get your seatbelts. It's going to be a smoker today. I promise you. It's going to be a smoker today. You hear me? See Red sitting with us. I always bring him in so he can level us off here, man, Antoine. He can get us both straight. What's going on, Walter? Can't continue to have conversations about the youth without the youth being present. We got to stop that. Man, Antoine think we know everything about everything. Go to the horse's mouth. Talk to the youth. Let their voice be heard. Let them tell us what they need. We got to stop this nonsense. Can't have discussions about the youth without the youth. That's the other section I want to add into the website. We can make a spot for them. We can make a spot.
This is under the Bill Will Power Party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can make a spot.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree. Always let you guys first on my brother.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's what we just want to make a spot for them.
I agree.
Raise the light. Appreciate you joining. Paul Magnum, appreciate you joining. Please like and share. Please have watch parties. Any suggestions, please send them to realtalkwithherschel@gmail.com. 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 Push the door up, Antoine. Please push the door up. That door, yeah. You can also follow us on Twitter, Real Talk HG, as well as YouTube. All our videos are streamlined and put on YouTube. Real Talk with Herschel on YouTube. Hey, Young, how are you? Rain Young. They're coming in, Antoine. Here we go. We're going to get started in just a couple, not even a couple minutes, just a minute or so. Antoine was running late. We got some bad weather down here. But we back on track. I got to blame it on somebody. We was ready. Me and Rez was here.
It was a black show. We're on CPT.
No, sir. Them days is over. Days is over.
Not in Alabama.
That's why I'm here. To help change that. Get the clocks right. You know what I'm saying? All right, PM, I see you. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, go for it.
Ready, Rez?
Yeah.
Ready. All right, and good morning. You are now listening to Real Talk with Herschel, WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial, Dothan, Alabama. Now, before we get started, the views expressed today on this show are those of Antoine, myself, and Mr. Rez here, and anyone that may call in, and do not necessarily reflect the views of WKCG, its management, or TOPS. However true and insightful it may be, it may not be the views of the radio station and its management. Any complaints or suggestions, please direct them to realtalkwithherschel@gmail.com. Now I've gotten the legalities out of the way, Antoine. Let me tell them what we're here to do. What we're here to do, not try to do, what we're here to do is to reinvigorate our community, to reestablish our community in its own narrative, to help restore our community, help restore our dignity, help restore our education and our history, to help us take our rightful place in society, to stop the over-policing, to help re-educate our community, to help reinvigorate, and to help our children reach their full potential, to protect one another, to uplift one another, to put us in the light that makes us proud of one another. All right? What we come here to do is in the name of love, for us first and foremost, but not exclusively. Now, we can't help anyone if we can't help ourselves. I can't feed you, Antoine, if I myself am hungry. So I have to learn to feed myself before I can go out to the world and feed the rest of the world. So what we're going to do is feed ourselves, we're going to educate ourselves, we're going to uplift ourselves, we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to decide who we are and what we are. We're going to decriminalize this black skin. You hear what I'm saying? We're going to decide what's criminal in our society and not those that are in power. Now, with that being said, Antoine, let's get ready to roll. Let's get ready to roll. Now, last week we came in talking about, it was the first show of the year, actually is what it was, the first show of the year.
Yeah,
so the only thing we want to emphasize is we need this going into our second year to be more of a year of action. That doesn't mean that we're going to stop talking, Antoine. It doesn't mean that we're going to stop planning. It just means that some of the things that we learned last year, we're going to start to put into action. That means starting our own groups. It means starting to seek out groups. It means that we're going to take some of the things that we learned and be more active, proactive, not active.
And that also means that we're going to emphasize that expectation with our listeners. We have consistently said and consistently given a template for how to organize yourselves, how to organize your community, and how to see your community as a fixture for how organization and how power can be built. And we want everyone who's listening to the sound of our voices to know that if you have an idea, if you have something that's going on in your communities, if you have something you want to raise with us, let us know. Let us know, because what this show exists to do, it also exists to build bridges between each other. It exists to create community by making sure that we are intentional in the way that we build our links to one another. And one thing that we've consistently said, one thing we've consistently emphasized, is this is, even though it's Real Talk with Herschel, this is our platform. And what we seek to emphasize and what we seek to elevate isn't ourselves. It is the strength of our people. It is the voice of our people. It is the power of our people. It is the presence of our people in spaces where we can interact and we can correlate and build one another intergenerationally, without respect to gender, without respect to sexuality, without respect to any of those factors. When we come to the show, we want you to know that you're amongst your people. And if you're one of your people, if you're one of our people, you're one of our people.
That's right. Very, very well said, Antoine.
Thank you.
Very well said. That is absolutely correct. One thing we have to understand before we go into our debates or discussions or our topics is that we have to, whether we like it or not, rally around our commonality. And our commonality is this: we are not free.
Woo! Woo!
We are not.
We started with that. We started with that.
Okay.
Wow.
We are not. Don't be mistaken. We are not free. Okay, that's the first thing. All right. So we can rally around that. Number two, we are at war. Okay. You got me? You feel me? So once you understand that, then the minor differences of how you pray, of who you love, of what you believe individually, all of that doesn't matter, because only free men can contemplate life. Only free men can contemplate their destiny. As long as you're in bondage, you can't contemplate anything other than figuring out how to be free. So that being said, what we are here to do is contemplate how we free ourselves. Because when you're stopped by the police, no one's checking to see if you're straight or gay. No one's checking to see if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Am I right? Nobody's checking to see if you're a Black Panther or if you're a New Republican or anything else. The only thing they see is that your behind is black.
That's right.
So that being said, that's the same thing that we have to rally around. All the other things are minute and don't matter. We can't debate the right or wrong of sexuality. We can't debate the right or wrong of spirituality. We can't debate the right or wrong of politics until we are free. Do you hear what I'm saying, Antoine? We can't debate that until we are free.
I know I was going to church today.
Don't be fooled. Your black behind is not free. If you were free, there would be no need for us to be here on this program today.
If you were free, you wouldn't be trying to vote every decade.
That's right. If we truly lived in a free place, in a democracy, we wouldn't be getting shot down the street simply because of the color of our skin.
That's right.
Our funds wouldn't be taken from us. There wouldn't be a divide and conquer mentality to keep us away from one another.
That's right.
We have to rally around the same thing that keeps us down.
That's right.
The same thing that they keep us down is the same thing that we have to rally around for our freedom. Before we can contemplate a Democrat, a Republican, a straight, a gay, an atheist, or a Christian, or Muslim, or a Jew, or anything else, before we contemplate those things in this place, we have to get our freedom. We have to get our freedom, Antoine.
And you know what? One of the things I try to emphasize is that we talk about racism very frequently in the show because it is the one thing that summarizes the structure that keeps us bound. But one thing we have to remember is that white people created race. They created race to justify exploitation. They created race to justify slavery. They created race to justify tiered citizenship and tiered humanity. And one of the reasons why we have to coalesce amongst ourselves is because regardless of whether or not you think you're a special black, regardless of whether or not you think that you've educated yourself out of this scam or you bank accounted yourself out of this scam, regardless of that fact, you are still something to the society, and it ain't human.
That's right. That's right.
That's the long and short of it. So one of the goals of the show is to make sure that we have free talk available so that people can listen to the show and can understand, those of you who are conscious can understand that no, you are not alone. But the other thing is that for people who are unconscious, so that they can know that they should not individualize their condition. You are not poor because you made a mistake. You are poor because your government wants you poor. You're poor because your government stole from you. You are poor because your government stole from your grandparents. There's one thing. We had a ASU professor on the show a couple weeks ago, and one suggestion he gave that I always stuck with. This is actually something that I've also applied myself over the years. He said that any person who's Black in America, a person they should ask their elders is how did they take your land?
When did they take?
When did they take your land?
Right. Because it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they know it was stolen.
Yeah, when did they take your land? When did they take your land? And one of the things that I'm actually going to mention the president's name. President Trump. He has spoken against things like welfare and things like government programs and people stealing government programs, just like this party has. And but he recently announced that suddenly the government's found $50 billion to give to farmers. Now, one thing that we should remember about farming and about the Department of Agriculture is that one of their main goals throughout the 20th century was to take land from Black landowners. The most farmers are white because they were able to steal hundreds of thousands of acres of land from people who were in the South. And one of the reasons why Black people had to move is because, and one of the things the Klan was doing is that they were going to Black land and they were stealing them and running them off their property so they could take that property for themselves. Now, when we see the government willing to go all in and subsidize farmers who are often running in debt, farmers, or subsidize people who have 200, 300 acres of land to do produce, the reason why they're subsidizing them is because farming and land ownership has become white. It is understood as white. They understand the quote-unquote producers as white. So the government is willing to take care of them because they've locked us out of something that should be our right.
Yeah.
This is the reality. This is the economic reality that we're in, and the reason why we should unify together is because that's not going to change. There's no level of individual effort you can make to actually change or fix what our conditions are in the society.
Come on, Reg, jump on in.
Even if you just gotta ask a question.
We don't want to run over the conversation.
Right. This is and this is something that I've said before, Rez, but we're gonna mention stuff like the Department of Agriculture, or we're gonna mention history and stuff like that. And you should ask, what does that mean? You should ask, well, where did you get that from? You should ask, why do you think that? If you want to know,
Absolutely. Again,
there's nothing. There are stupid questions. But I think that one of the signs of intelligence is curiosity. And one of the best ways to expand one's intelligence is to find people who may or may not know more, who may know more on the subject you may not be familiar with, and to just ask, hey, how do you know that? What do you read?
Yeah, just for our listeners, for people that are not following us online, in the studio today, we have a young man from Dothan High School, Tyrez Graham, and then Ham. Tyrez Graham, who's 16. Yeah, 16. Yeah, because I was there when he turned 16. He's 16 years old, and we constantly have conversations, what we call intergenerationally, because Antoine is a generation behind me, and we constantly talk about having intergenerational talks.
Right.
And we fail to leave out the youth. We talk about the youth.
Right.
So we find the necessity to have the youth present to make their feelings, their needs, their wants and their desires known from their mouths, as opposed to us speculating what they want and what they need.
That's right.
So we are here as an example as to what needs to take place. If we can do it, we are actually three random people. We have
completely
we're random people that we have no history. No, seriously. I've known Tyrez, 2 years, 3 years maybe? I've known you since 2017. Yeah, I met you. Has it even been that long?
No, I think it's 2018, wasn't it?
No, it's before 2017. So we're talking only a couple of years. The point is, we have no history.
That's right.
This is my point.
Yeah.
How do we,
like my uncle?
Right. We have no history, but we can come together for the betterment of our people.
That's right.
Even though we come from different places, even though we have different views, what we do agree upon is our people are in need, and we need to do something about it.
That's right.
So we've all agreed to put our differences to the side for the betterment of our blackness.
That's right.
To rally around that. And if the three random strangers can do it,
that's right.
Why can't you do it with your neighbor?
That's right.
Why can't you do it with your cousins and your relatives
That's
who you've known all your life?
That's right.
If random strangers can do this, Brett, anybody can do it.
That's right. That's right.
Anybody can do it.
That's right.
Because for me to be respectful enough to Antoine, whether I disagree or agree with him, to respect him enough to listen to his view and contemplate it and try to help him do what he needs to do to help our community, and vice versa, for him to do the same, says a lot for our unselfishness.
That's right.
But we're not special.
That's right.
We're not special.
That's right.
We just two random dudes.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's
And
right.
if him and I can do it,
Yep.
anybody can do
That's
it.
right.
Anybody can do
That's
this.
right. That's right.
And if you don't do it, shame on you.
That's right. And on this show, we have consistently been unflattering to the well, where are the youth? Where are the youth? Why don't we have any youth in the church and the political party? In the meeting. Well, it's because you don't talk to them, you don't bring them.
Say that again.
I'm sorry.
It's
It's because you don't talk to them, and you don't bring them.
You don't bring them.
And for being honest, you really don't want to hear what they have to say. I mean, that's the long and short of it. A lot of adults have opinions. They have very strong opinions, and they want you to conform to their opinion. They don't want to actually engage with you as you are, where you stand, or even learn something from you. So, in circumstances like that, you know what I do when I'm not wanted, when people don't want to talk to me? I got better things to do with my time. I go somewhere else. That's what the youth do.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep. So, again, Rez, the floor is yours. Say what you will, ask what you want. Herschel and I, we are perfectly willing to entertain whatever. We know you're a smart dude. We know you can do what you can do.
All right, that's right. Let's jump in anytime you get ready. Well, let's
take a break.
You want to do that?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay. Then we're gonna come back with some multiply. Some multiply. How about that? Some multiply. What we got going there?
I don't
Did I
know.
start?
You the DJ.
Wait a minute. That's two, right?
You gotta do that thing.
Come on now. What did I do? It's not playing. Come on now. Oh, okay, yeah, it is.
It is playing?
No, it's loading. There you go. So we come back with our first topic. Yeah. What was the other thing you want to talk about?
I did want to make sure that we discussed
Okay, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, it looks like Bernie Sanders is going to be winning Iowa.
Huh?
Looks like Bernie Sanders is going to be winning Iowa.
Yeah, well, again, that's the first, not the last.
I mean, Biden is in third place in Iowa. Last poll came out. They said they had Sanders at 20%, Elizabeth Warren at 18, and Biden at 16. Yeah.
Did you put the music? We don't only like the music. Don't matter the music.
No.
That's all right.
Yeah.
The music you hear playing in the background.
That's right.
DJ Chillax.
That's right.
It's a mixtape. DJ Chillax. Church lady. You don't know about this anymore. DJ Chillax, again, is a friend to the show.
Yeah.
I approached him about being a soundtrack for our show, about buying some music, and what he would charge me. And let me tell you something. He charged us nothing to play his mixtapes. And again, that has been his contribution to this show, to be the soundtrack for this platform. And DJ Chillax, we thank you as always. DJ Chillax is out of New Jersey. And I can't thank you enough, DJ Chillax, for your music. And that's how we got, and again, it's just,
Yeah, well, we can start with that one topic. You remember what you said? You said JD knows what's up about the
yeah.
Yeah. And
Why you talk to him about it?
Yeah, he asked what the show's gonna be about. Now I rolled my eyes and told him what the show's gonna be about, and he went on a full-on you style. I don't know what it is.
You know what it is? Because it's like Antoine. This is what I tell you. And I don't want to sound disparaging when I say it. When I say you don't have enough life
Yes,
experience.
I do. Yes, it's our life experience. seriously.
It is when you go to certain, because there are things that if you don't see it firsthand, the accounts and the numbers are not gonna. Because again,
I've seen a bunch of things firsthand. I've seen a bunch of feminized black men firsthand in Herschel.
We're gonna say this because we get ready to come back.
Yeah. Let's go. Because I promise you.
Here's Johnny. All right. All right.
That's shining.
All right. Welcome back to Real Talk with Herschel here at WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial, Dothan, Alabama, the Wiregrass. Now, the views expressed today on this show are those of Antoine and myself and Mr. Red sitting here to my left, and do not necessarily reflect the views of TOPS, WKCG, or its management.
Yeah, and I just want to add an additional disclaimer. I just want to note that, I've been holding Herschel back from this topic for at least a year now, and I finally lost. So, this topic is going to be all Herschel, and I want him to take the blame for us discussing it. But we are going to discuss it.
Take the blame, whatever, then I'll take it. In all seriousness, Antoine and I have such great conversations when we're all together. We have such great conversations. And that's the chemistry that you see. They're not always agreeing in agreement.
Right.
But we always are respectful of one another's thoughts and beliefs. They're usually heated. They're usually very, very profound and always very intelligent.
That's true.
Very intelligent.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not about always agreeing. But again, what happens is more knowledge is always better.
That's right.
Your view is your view, and until you hear something else, that's going to be your only view.
That's right.
Now, it may strengthen your view, it may change your view, it may add to your view, or may take away from your view. But as long as you're learning something from it, it's a positive conversation.
That's right.
Now, one of the things that we had talked about before, I put a post up on our Facebook page about how the media and this white supremacist society is trying to emasculate the male image. And what I mean is this, like I said, some will agree, some will disagree, and that's fine. I just find it very curious. And see, and when I say emasculate, it has nothing to do with sexuality. Because there have been, and still are, many people that are homosexual that are fighters in this fight, that are athletes, that are all the things that people deem to be only masculine. Masculinity has nothing to do with sexuality. So let's get that straight. This is not about gay bashing. It's about the black male image and the image of strength, which has always been a threat to this place that we live in. The strong black male image has always been a threat to white society. So, in the times of slavery, Antoine, there was a practice that was undertaken.
I know what's coming. Butt breaking.
Butt breaking. You ever hear that, Brad? You ever hear butt breaking?
I don't think
Okay, you're not gonna learn in school. Oh, they're not gonna teach you this in school. Now, butt breaking was a practice done by slave owners. They would take the strongest and the biggest black male slaves and bring them out in front of the women and the children. And they would rape these strong black men to prove that they were stronger and had more power. So that the women and the children and the other men that weren't being demeaned by the slave master would always come to the slave master because he had power. It had nothing to do with the black man's sexuality. It had everything to do with his appearance of strength. Okay? Now, fast forward to today. We have young black men. I don't know if they're straight or gay. Doesn't matter. Wearing skirts, carrying pocketbooks, being very effeminate. And this in the wake of our women and our children constantly being accosted. We did a story, Antoine, about a young lady that was accosted by a white man in McDonald's. There were 3 black young men that stood by and watched this happen. Now, were they never taught to defend a black woman? I don't know. Are they scared because it was a white man that grabbed her? I know when I was coming up, JD, where you at? Because I don't see you. JD, calling JD, where you at? When I was coming up, you didn't put your hands on a sister. You didn't touch a black child. You hear me? I don't know if the men were straight, gay, pansexual, or the thing where you're tying the rope around your neck, tickle on a balloon or what. But black men didn't allow people, they didn't do whatever. They didn't allow people to disrespect our women and our children. Again, it has nothing to do with sexuality. When I say our women and our children, I don't care if the woman is heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual, whatever. She belongs to me. She's in the same struggle as me. And it's not because she's weak or because she can't fend for herself. If it's Layla Ali, I'm going to come to her aid because she's important to me, not because she's weak. And this is where to me, this is where we get confused. We don't defend people because they're weak. We defend people because they're important to us. If we don't stand for our women, nobody else will. If we don't stand for our children, nobody else will. It has nothing to do with sexuality. When I put out the call to black men, Antoine, did I preface it by anything other than black men? The same thing that the police preface before they drag your ass out the car. Get your black behind out. They don't care if you're straight, gay, Republican, or Democrat. They just know that you're behind as a black man. That's it.
I have a question.
Come on with it.
I have a question.
Come on.
Before I comment on all of that, and there's quite a bit to comment on, my question is this. What is the duly noting that chattel slavery, as we understood it under the context of butt breaking, duly noting that has ended. Chattel slavery.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Plantations. Duly noting that has ended, and that insofar as this practice exists, it's mostly image, narrative, and aesthetic thing. You really agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if it's an image, narrative, and aesthetic thing, what is the worst case scenario of that aesthetic becoming concrete? What is the actual harm? Let's say that finally the black man is feminized. We're all wearing skirts. We all have glitter on our faces, or we all have a nice little perm or weave or something. Let's say that the black man in 5 years has finally, quote unquote, become feminized. That we've had that Little Richard moment in Black Dynamite.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Let's say that that's finally happened. What is the worst case scenario that is being envisioned there? Duly noting that this is an image thing, and that this is a consequence of elective practices being done by people who, black dudes who just want to wear a dress.
No,
what is the worst case scenario here?
The worst case.
Yeah. What is the harm?
The harm is,
and the worst case scenario. Yeah, I just want to know, let's say black men are finally feminized in 5 years. What happened?
Okay, I want to do two things. I want to answer this.
Okay.
And then I want to ask. Then I want someone from that generation to answer.
Fine.
So you think about your answer, Rez.
Yeah.
Think about your answer. Worst. Okay. What harm?
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case
Because
scenario.
we know the worst case scenario racism. That's our death. That's our imprisonment. That's our incarceration. That's our immiseration. What is the worst case scenario wearing a dress?
No, it's the image of.
Yeah. It is the image.
What happens
this is the material. That's not
when we can't turn to each other for protection, when we can't turn to each other for strength, we will look for the things that we need elsewhere. So our women, our children won't emulate me because they won't see me as strong and protection. So they'll start to emulate the white supremacists. They'll start to emulate the things that they see or contemplate strong. Because the flip side of that coin, Antoine, is to always show white men as the hero, as the strength. So when you portraying me as one thing, it's the modern day minstrel show. There was a time when black men, for whatever purpose, had to buck their eyes and yazza balls and blackface and things like that. Now, fast forward, civil rights movement, some of that stuff was outlawed in the black community. The advent of the Black Power movement, strong black men stood up.
Even
and were right.
Yeah.
So images are very important because this is what our children see, our girls and our boys. What they see is strength. So if you don't see strength in your home, you're going to seek it somewhere else. So you start to adopt the white supremacist point of view. You start to go to your same enemy and emulate them. That's the worst case scenario. We lose our culture. That's the worst case scenario, Antoine, because what's being portrayed in our community is not being portrayed in any other community. You don't. Think about this. We are the most imitated culture in the world, right?
Yeah.
But they're not imitating this. You don't see white boys.
Yes, you do.
Not the masses.
Yes,
no,
yes, you
not
do.
in the media.
Yes,
It's not.
you do.
Antoine, it's not being pushed in the media. It's not being pushed. Let me tell you something. The things that are going to be pushed are going to be us. Now,
I'm actually glad you're expressing like this because there's a whole bunch of discussion.
I'm on rest to get
there's a whole bunch of this Herschel. I want you to put asterisks on. I want you to remember what Herschel said.
Yeah. The worst case scenario is we create another generation of self-loathing black girls and black boys. That's the problem.
Okay.
They're going to look outside of their own for strength. They're going to look for their heroes to be outside their home. It's not going to look like their father. It's not going to look like their uncle. It's not going to look like their brother. It's going to look like Mr. Chopper.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
No. I'm not conceding that. I'm just acknowledging the answer.
I'm just answering.
Right.
Let's let Brandon jump in. Jump in, Brandon.
If you want to hear the question again,
So, like, you saying, like, what the effect of it would be?
Yeah. What's the worst case scenario? We're all wearing dresses and glitter. Now, it ain't gonna be pretty. I'll say that, but
Well, then, like, I guess because it makes us look weaker, it's like the white supremacy and stuff, that gives them more of the incentive to come after us because we look weaker.
Ooh,
And we don't have no strong black male, because like in the past, if a strong black male would come up, they would have backed off. But because they see how feminine we look, they're gonna think we're official. And that gives them makes them even more aggressive.
That's interesting. That's a good point. That's interesting.
Come on with it, Brad. Again, right.
Yeah. Now look. I think that with this topic, and usually the way the topic is prefaced, Herschel didn't use this term; he used emasculation. But usually it's called the feminization of black men.
Okay.
And I want us to actually interrogate what is being implied in the subtext there, because the implication isn't just sexuality related; it's also gender related. The implication is that women are weak. Implication in that is that femininity is a sign of weakness. And I think that I think that part of the problem with this discussion is that it is viewing the adoption of characteristics that are commonly understood or associated with women and saying that those characteristics on men make us look weak. No, Herschel. The problem, I think the fundamental problem is this. If God forbid I wore a dress tomorrow, I'm sorry, nothing about me's changed, y'all. I'm still me. I promise.
Only you know that. Only you know that. Only you know that.
Look, dress is a fabric. The problem is that first off, we are in a context where the black male image, particularly in a white supremacist society, has a hypermasculinity projected to it. And the reason why there is both an intercommunal and outer community reaction to black men in dresses is because it's contradicting a historical image where we are viewed as the brute, we are viewed as the savage, we are viewed as the person who is supposedly the height of virility, the height of masculinity, and because our society is patriarchal, and I want to define patriarchy. Patriarchy is a mode of hierarchical relations where the man is considered the top, the man is considered the head, the man is considered the height of who we are as a society. Because we are in a patriarchal context, the idea of hypermasculinity is a threat to that patriarchy. The idea of America is that America is supposed to be ruled by white men and that white men are supposed to be the height of that. But the hypermasculinity of the black male actually contradicts that image. Now, the problem that we have in society isn't the fact that we are wearing, that some men are wearing dresses, some men are wearing glitter, some men are wearing, light blue makeup, with wonderful flowing hair and flowers in it or whatever. That's not the problem. The problem is that we are in a context where, in order to maintain what we are defining as patriarchy, things that are associated with women have to be seen, and have to be viewed, and have to be treated as subordinate. So the problem isn't that. So wait a second.
Oh my Jesus.
No, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying that the problem is fundamentally that if you're in a patriarchal context, if you're a man in a patriarchal context, society is supposed to respond to you in a particular way. You have a subtextual power that is supposed to be accorded to you, and a subtextual respect that's supposed to be accorded to you. You can't maintain that respect and also embrace things that are associated with women. The problem fundamentally is that sexism is guiding the definitions that in the way that we are conceptualizing strength and weakness.
Antoine.
Oh, dude, stood up. Dude, stood up. Dude, stood up.
Antoine.
First,
no, I stood up. So I can, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go.
All right, Antoine. I hear you. Is that?
Yeah.
No, I just no.
Say it.
I'm not.
Say it from your chest.
And they can say it with my chest.
Yeah.
Antoine. I hear you. And here's my problem with what you said.
Okay.
You have no proof. Listen to me.
No proof of which part?
Listen to me. To the ladies, to the females, to the black women out there.
I didn't call him sexist.
No, I'm not going there.
Okay.
I'm going somewhere you ain't gonna go.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
To my black queens and princesses out there. Would you rather have Antoine with you, someone who does not think that you need him to protect you? You can protect your damn self. Or would you rather a man that you feel secure with that will protect you because you're important, not because you're weak? If I saw Layla Ali or any of these other women that I knew could probably kick my butt, I still would feel an obligation because that black woman came through the same thing and belongs to me. You understand what I'm saying? Not because she's weak, Antoine. You better get this feminist crap out of your mouth. Let me tell you something. And I challenge you to prove what you're saying.
Which part of it?
JD, where you at?
Just tell me which part of it.
Let me tell you something.
Which part of it?
That because a man protects a woman, it's sexist.
No, I didn't mention the word protection. I did not mention protection. No, I didn't discuss protection. Well, what I said was that in a societal context, in a patriarchal context, in a context where the height of power is understood to be male, in that context, women is subordinate, women is underneath, women is less than. Woman, and the problem with the quote-unquote feminization of black men is that the adoption of things that traditionally belong to women, things that are associated with women, because we're in a sexist society, because we're in a sexist context, and because sexism and patriarchy govern the images of strength and weakness that are portrayed in the media, because of that, we see the adoption of those characteristics as lessening our status.
Okay, I'm just not about status. It's about. Let me tell you something. Okay, let me challenge you.
Japanese have a concept called saving face. Dressing up as a woman makes you lose face.
No, well,
it is a status thing. The way even Rez, he mentioned the status component of it. He said, and it was a perfectly legitimate point. He understood that the adoption of feminine characteristics is something that will make you a target.
Right.
It's something that will make you a target.
Okay, so again, if some
but the reason why it makes you a target is because womanhood as an image, as a narrative. The reason why it makes you a target is because womanhood confers weakness. In a sexist context, in a sexist society, people think women are weak. Therefore, they think men who adopt female characteristics are weak.
But they don't attack women like they would attack a man.
That's because of the status component. That's because of the status component. Men are targets of men are often targets and purveyors of greater levels of violence. They live in more violent contexts. And the society that we live in, dressing and female characteristics lowers your status as a man. It lowers your image. Now, I didn't mention security and protection once. I don't think that.
It's about perception. Again, it's not about sexuality. I didn't say you did. My point is it's about perception. It's not about, when I put out the call to my black men, there's two requisites.
Yeah. That
you're black and that you're a man.
Right.
I don't care if you straight, gay, pansexual, you sleep with the dog. If you one of those incels, just don't shoot up the school. Save that stuff for our fight. What I'm saying is this, Antoine. I hear you, but the black family structure was much stronger in the 50s and 60s. The black family structure and black male strength in our community was much stronger up until the advent of welfare, up until the time where they said that we will help take care of you and your children as long as you don't have a black man in the picture. Again, it is about aesthetics, because again, our young boys need to see a man to be a man. Our young ladies need to see a man so they understand how to interact and how men treat women. Now again, these are aesthetics to weaken us. Our image has been weakened because at one time the black family structure was very strong. Now the nuclear family, which you will rail against sometimes, the nuclear family is where it starts. The village mentality is our nuclear family bonds with another nuclear family and another nuclear family, and that's how that village works. That's how that village works. Because the men of that village will look out for all the women of the village. That man will watch out for all the children in the village. That wife will watch out for all the children in the village. Those children watch out for each other in that village. You understand what I'm saying? That's how a village works. It's not that the men dominate and do everything. Those women protect the same thing. If a woman sees another woman's husband being accosted by the police, first thing she does is go get the other wives and husband. Listen, Mr. Jones just got arrested by the police. That's the village. The women look out. The children look out. Mommy, I just saw Miss So-and-so, somebody grabbed her purse. That's the village. But the nuclear family is what gives structure. This is what gives the children direction to grow up and see how men and women are supposed to interact. How mommy treats daddy. How daddy treats mommy. This is where they learn their interpersonal skills, Antoine.
Now,
interpersonal relationships.
You know, I think that, and the reason why I'm critical of the nuclear family is the same reasons I'm critical of the way we discuss gender. I think that we don't concede and we don't appreciate the degree to which society constructs what appropriate and inappropriate gendered responses are. Now, when it comes to things like the nuclear family, the nuclear family it is a relatively recent phenomenon, but not only is it a recent phenomenon, it's a phenomenon in an American context that was never intended to apply to black people. Throughout slavery, we were not able to retain families. We lived under perpetual risk of having our wives sold off, having our children sold off, having our people sold off, and families split up. People who split up in slavery during slavery had to write letters to when slavery ended, they had to write letters to the people that they split up with, even though they had remarried in the place where they were still at. That has the fact that black family as a traditional unit and defined as a one man, one woman, and two kids kind of way. The black family has never been able to exist like that in American society. Now, wait a second.
Why?
Yes,
because that's
wait a second. Wait a second. No, back up.
That's why it was broken up.
Wait a second. The problem with that, Herschel, is that in a context where we're idolizing the nuclear family, we do not acknowledge the way we coped. We don't acknowledge what we did to resist. We don't acknowledge the way we created community and created family, regardless of whether community and family was present. We don't acknowledge the way when dad or granddad was taken by the police, when they were put on convict lease. And we don't acknowledge the fact that their new family became their neighbors. We don't acknowledge the fact that we adopted African modes of family. Dr. White talked about himself, where complete strangers in a white context will come into our home, but because we know them from our church, because we know them from our neighborhood, they're our children, and we treat them like our children. We don't acknowledge the fact that older people talk about it all the time, how when they messed up, when they stayed outside too long, or did something wrong, how somebody up the road, neighbor up the road, Miss Richards or whatever, would see you from the porch and she would spank you, the person next door would spank you, and they would tell your parents and you get a spanking at home. We don't talk about how we built community in the afterlife of slavery. And we don't talk about how the community that we built, which does not require one man and one woman, we don't talk about the community we built, it acted as a resistance and a rejection of the way America told us to behave. We were able to create strong black families without having a traditional mom and dad prison. We were able to create moms out of aunts. We were able to create moms out of grandmothers. That is what we did, and we did it successfully.
survival.
It is survival, and it's not bad.
Let me
It's
ask, wait.
good.
Let me
It's
ask
to
you.
our strength. It means we have a greater
Let
resilience.
me ask you something, because what you're saying is double talk. Listen to what.
No, it's not.
Let me ask you this. We did that out of necessity. The reason that they sold off the father from the mother is because
And the mother from the father.
right, and the children from the parents
Right.
is to keep them weak. So the strength is the nuclear. Antoine, you
No,
just
that's
said
not why,
it.
Herschel.
There,
That's not why.
there is no reason.
They sold them off for profit reasons. Especially
Antoine.
for profit reasons.
Antoine, it's not strictly for. Let me
Yes,
tell
it
you
was.
something. As long as if a family stays together, they can plot and scheme together. There's a bond.
No.
Wait.
Everybody was our family.
I don't believe it was just for profit because they knew that. Because like you said, like how we all said multiple times, like they're afraid of an educated like black male, and like it'd be worse if it was the whole family because they'll know how to like counterattack.
But you know what? One thing that we should remember is that slavery ended because we actually fought a war to end it. We were participants in that war. And by being participants in that war, the reason why we were participants in that war is because we already had a context of resistance where the new slave would come into a new place with new slaves, and they would be automatically accepted as family because that's how we knew how to resist. That's how we theorized resistance. So we were actually able to increase the bonds that we had, and we were able to increase what we needed as a political unit to survive and resist in the context of slavery. We didn't need one man and one woman. We understood that we had a community, and we fought as one.
I'm trying to say this very delicately, Antoine.
Okay.
I hear you. I do. No, and with all due respect, I do hear you. I just need you to show me that it works. I hear you, and I hear you explain the dynamic of patriarchy and
Yeah.
no, I understand it. I'm just saying. I hear you. I don't see where you can show me in practice where your theory, because until you can show me that it works.
That what works.
What you believe works. Because again, the nuclear, listen to what I'm saying. Wait. Okay. The nuclear family up until the late 60s was very strong. The black nuclear family. Because there was still segregation. Listen to me. So again, you still had those bonds, but there were a lot. How many times have we traveled up and down these highways and heard about how dad had to leave because he done killed some white guy or something happened? He got ran off. But they had their own homes. The nuclear family was strong. Now again, breaking up the nuclear family is by design, Antoine. That's where the strength. There's no need to break up something that's not strong. That's not a threat. Why would I break you and him up if y'all are not a threat? Now, if the two of y'all can get together and overthrow and take this from me, I got to break y'all up. There's no need for the government to systematically break up the nuclear family unless it's a threat. Why do you keep black women and black men pitted against each other? I didn't say you. The government.
Black men pitted against each other.
Right. Why do you
the
keep,
government?
you know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah,
That's the government. I'm saying. This is what I'm telling you. The system is set up to tell it's okay to be a single mother. You don't need a man. Every child needs a father. Every child needs a mother. Because there are certain things that a mother will give and certain things that a father will give. That's by natural design. Now, you can shake your head to your head.
That's what articulates the gender roles, Herschel, and gender expectations. Those are society produce.
That's not okay. I hear you. But let me tell you something. People do not spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars, against something that's not a threat. There's so much money spent to keep the black families separated.
Herschel.
So much money spent on incarcerating young black men in their prime, young black ladies in their prime, their childbearing years. All of this money is spent to do what? To keep our race weak and impotent.
Herschel.
I'm telling you this.
Now, one thing I want to remind everybody is that the state criminalized all black association, not just black families. They made sure that things like vagrancy, hanging out, loitering, anything that put 2 or 3 black people of any type of any gender together,
Because they're a threat.
Right. Because they were a threat. That was targeted to black association, period, not to just the family.
But
and the
what
reason
the family was included?
why it was targeted to black association, period. They didn't want us to organize. They didn't want us to come together and speak or organize in an insurrectionary light. And you know, you can't do an insurrection on the scale of a family, but you can do an insurrection on the scale of a community.
It starts with a family.
No, it doesn't.
Antoine, I'll tell you what. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my.
We need to take a break.
No.
We need to take a break.
You want to take a break?
Part 2.
All right. Okay. Let's do this. All right. Let's do this.
Take your point first, and then we'll answer on break.
All right. Well, okay. My point is this: if I take my family that I've been teaching to be black and proud, I teach it in my family, and Tyrez, his mother's been teaching him and his sisters and brothers the same thing.
Okay.
And we have our dinners on Sunday
Okay.
that look so benign to the outside. We just have a little family out. But what we doing? What we doing, Tyrez? We plotting and scheming on how to organize. We plotting and scheming on how to take down this system, Antoine. We organize it. It starts in the family, and then you find like families. Because if I go to work and I see Miss Varlene at work, and she's talking about stuff, and I say, she sounds like us. So I pull Miss Varlene to the side, say, why don't we have Sunday dinner together? And we start having our Sunday dinner, the plot and scheme. And she has a girlfriend or somebody across town that's of a like mind. And we start having these Sunday dinners. What is that, Antoine? Oh, that's the nuclear family?
Wait, before you
You told me to make my point. You told me to make my point?
Fine.
All right. I'm just saying. Come on, Facebook. I see you. Somebody get JD. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Let me tell you something. This is what Real Talk is about. It's about us having real conversations, not being disrespectful, not being disrespectful. Again, if Antoine is going to enact whatever he's going to enact, I'm going to support it. I'm going to do everything I can to help him because he believes it's going to better us and vice versa. I know he'll back me for anything that I do that's going to be positive for our community. We got Tyrez here, and we're teaching him how to interact with grown men. This is how grown men interact. We don't have to name call. We ain't got to shoot each other. We don't have to do the thing that they say we do. This is real talk. We're going to have real talk on blood off the air, and we're going to cut loose. We're going to have some real talk. For real, for real. You understand what I'm saying? It's about respecting one another.
That's right.
It's about respecting our differences and rallying around the things that are important and the things that really matter. And we have to be free before we can contemplate any of this other stuff. Because we are not free. We are not free. We're not free. Don't fool yourself. Don't buy into the illusion of inclusion. We are not free. And with that being said, we cannot afford to give up the fight. We cannot not struggle. We cannot not fight. It's not an option. We got to fight, and we got to stand up, and we got to do it together. From the youngest to the oldest. We got to. We got to. And it's a fight I love to have. You know, I love Antoine. That's my brother from another mother. And, you know.
I raise my glass to Herschel always.
That's right. You know, and this is what we have to do, Tyrell. And this is why I always encourage you to come out. If you got any questions, suggestions, because it's our job to help you get to where you want to go. Not to where I want you to go. Not to where Antoine sees you going. But wherever you want to go, it's our job to help you get to that place. If it's going to help the community. It has to help the community. Not just to make you money, and then you go live off in the suburbs, popping bottles. Because then I'm going to have to get my boys to come rob. It's got to be the better community, you know what I'm saying?
And you got some boys.
You know, I got some boys. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about respect. And we can be respectful even if we don't agree.
Right.
Because the one thing we do agree upon is that we have to help our people and not our people in trouble. And that's all that matters. That's all it matters. Because there's no one solution. So we have to respect other people's views. And if he can show me something and he want to enact it, whether I agree with it or not, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. And vice versa.
You know, a lot of people are like that.
No, there's a lot of people.
Well, I mean, like, people I've encountered, like, if they disagree about you disagree with them on one thing, it's like they don't want money.
There's a lot of that down here.
Yeah.
We've seen that. And we're trying
And it's
to,
immature. It's
it is very immature.
Yeah, it's immaturity. That's what it is.
I mean,
You know, insecure people are usually going to be the ones that are most likely to take a disagreement as a personal insult. And you know, you got to be, you know, being comfortable with who you are is being comfortable with difference as
and
well.
and a personal insult is personal.
Yeah,
We got,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? If I have a personal beef with you, how does that affect the
Right.
fact that we getting shot in the street?
Right.
That's a personal beef.
Right.
We'll deal with that beef
Right.
once we stop getting shot in the street.
Exactly.
Then we're going back and we're duking out. But right now, we gotta save each other's life.
And it is very important to disentangle, you know,
Personal.
personal from just a general disagreement. Like if I disagree with you in a movie or a TV show or politics, politics I will say personally. But if I disagree with you in a movie or a TV show or you know just an opinion where we share the same general view but maybe disagree on tactics, you know, it's nothing, and it shouldn't be anything.
Appreciate everybody tuning in.
Right.
Go follow us on YouTube, Real Talk Rehearsal on YouTube. Twitter, Real Talk HG. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or comments, please send them to realtalkrehearsal@gmail.com.
And we got a website coming up, y'all.
I can say it now?
We can say it's coming up, but you can't mention
It's coming.
it.
It's coming soon.
That's right.
All we
That's
got to do
right.
is pull the trigger.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to get smoked in there.
That's
y'all.
right. That's
We're
right.
getting ready to get smoked. And all of this is due to the support of our community.
That's right.
Antoine and I were afforded a platform.
That's right.
And we chose to make it a community platform, not an Antoine and Herschel platform. This platform is to serve our community. So what we're going to do is serve our community. We're taking all our resources, we're sinking it into this project, this website to help bring resources and education and just anything you can imagine to our community. So this is what we want people to do around the country, in your own community. So please continue to like and share. Please continue to send in your suggestions and comments. Somebody find JD before we move on to the next subject, because I know he's out there. And as soon as Antoine gets back, we're going to come on back live on the radio. Oh, okay. You know, so I'll just let you continue to support us.
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, ready?
Yep.
All right, it's on 12:06. You get ready.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to Real Talk with Herschel, WKCG 91.1 on your FM dial. Now, the views expressed today on this show are those of Antoine, Tyrez, and myself. They do not necessarily reflect the views of TOPS, WKCG, or its management, even though they are all very, very, very true. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on back into this conversation.
That's right.
Antoine, come on.
Now, for the last segment, we were discussing a subject near and dear to many black male Gen Xers, the feminization of black men, and I want people to consider something about society and the way it's arranged. Society, particularly American society, exists by creating and then reinforcing power dynamics where power is concentrated in the few, and where the many end up having to be exploited by that power structure. Now, one of the tactics that power structure uses is something called naturalization. They try to make the fact of their power natural. When white people had and have a monopoly on power, they portrayed themselves as more temperate, more intelligent. When rich people who still exist in the upper echelon society, they naturalize their power by saying they earned it. They naturalize their power by saying that they're smarter than you. Now, in an American context, power has generally been white and male. Power has generally been white and male. And one of the mechanisms of naturalization for white male power has been the idea that they are more capable, that they are more competent, that they are more intelligent. And what they do is they use both biological arguments, and they use both kind of utilitarian arguments. Where they say, well, we're here because we can do more than you. Now, one of the first things that you have to take in as a conscious member of society, you have to take in the fact that people in power are going to be lying, or are going to continue to lie to you. They're going to lie both about their characteristics and capabilities, and they're going to lie about the way power functions, because the way power functions, it's not taken by virtue. It's taken by force. It's not taken by virtue, it's taken by force. And so I want us to consider, if you will, the way those arguments in favor of power can influence the way we understand, the way we relate to not just our position in society, but also to things like things fundamental to us, like our maleness.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I want to jump in.
Yeah, please, by all means, first.
The problem with that argument, to me, Antoine, is this. One thing we're here to do is determine our own narrative.
Right.
And if we were following the same power structure, I would say I agree with you. Throughout slavery, we fought together for our freedom. Men and women.
Men and women
led the charge.
That's right.
Men and women led the charge.
That's right.
Sometimes there were women at the front, sometimes there were men at the front. Throughout the civil rights movement,
That's right. Black power movement too.
we have been, I'm leading up
yeah.
to that. There have been men and women
That's right.
that have led the charge.
That's right.
Fast forward to the 70s, Black Power,
Oh,
Black Panthers.
Yep.
Many women died in the struggle. Many women were on the front lines and will continue to be on the front lines. That has no bearing on the expectation of our women to stand up for them and protect them because they're important. Again, I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. We have an obligation to protect the things that are important to them. White men don't value their women. They protect them because they feel that they belong to them. You understand what I'm saying? Our women are important to us because they stood the test of time with us. They came through the same struggle. They came through the Middle Passage. They endured rape. They endured abuse. They endured being baby mills. You understand what I'm saying? They endured things with us. This is why we protect our women, not because they are weak and they can't fight. We protect our women because they were in the struggle and are still in the struggle with us. That's why our fight is different. So what you're saying would apply if we were following that same dynamic, but our dynamic is different because our women are still being maligned and mistreated, not because they are weak, but because they are black. And if they keep them disconnected from us and us from them, we will continue to be weak. Black men get emasculated and feminized, and it keeps us away from each other as well. So we don't even protect one another. We'll stand around with our video cameras, video instead of coming to the aid of one another, Antoine. I protect you, not because you're weak, because you're important to me. You understand what I'm saying? So don't tell me about a power dynamic that's portrayed by white society, because I'm not a part of that society. My power dynamic is different because my history is different. My now is different. So I have to understand that I'm following a different drummer. I'm going to fight for women and children because they came through the same struggle, because they're still being victimized simply because they're black. You understand what I'm saying? It has nothing to do. I understand wholeheartedly what you're saying, but that don't apply to us.
Okay, first off, I just want to say I felt that, Herschel. I'm right there with you. I more or less agree with you, but I want us to consider this. And now I want you to just interrupt me if I'm portraying your argument correctly. But I think that what it sounds like you're saying, the way you contextualize, the way you discuss, the way we endured, the way we created resistance, not in a male way or a female way, but together. That the elements, the structures of patriarchy had limited bearing in our community. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And my contention is this. Power dictates the circumstances of resistance. Because we are in a capitalist society, we are capitalists. Because we are in a white supremacist society, we are prone to internalizing racism. And because we are in a sexist and patriarchal society, I think that we are not immune to the tenets and fixtures of patriarchy and sexism. And I want us to think, and I'm actually going to speak exclusively to black men here. I want us to think very, very intimately about how a fixation on the idea that, I'm the man of the house, I should do this. I'm the man of the house, I should do that. I want us to think about how status is for some man.
That's a mischaracterization of the argument that we're having.
Let me finish.
That's what we're talking
No,
about.
it's not. Let me finish, and I'll tell you why. I want us to consider the way a perception of status and the definition of status is intimately tied to our understanding of what being a man is. Despite the fact that patriarchy has very distorted and very different dynamics in our community for historical reasons and because of racism, despite that fact, that does not necessarily mean that we as black men are immune to categorizing our women in a way that paints them as lesser than. That doesn't mean that we are immune to things that make the possibility of rape or abuse prominent. That doesn't mean that we are immune to the idea that black female households can be are weakening us as a people or limiting what our status should be as men. I think that we should consider how existing in a patriarchal context influences the expectations that we have of ourselves.
I will say this, and I hear you. I hear you, and I respectfully disagree with most of it, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You can't teach what you don't know. You can't teach what you've never done. If I've never done physics, I can't teach it. I can teach my daughters. I have 4 daughters. I can teach them how to be young ladies. I can teach them what my perception of being a woman is. I've never been a woman. I can be the best father on this earth. I cannot be a mother to my girls. That is not a character flaw. That's a fact. So the same way, how can a woman raise she can raise a young man. She can raise him to be a gentleman. There's certain things that only a man can teach a boy. There's some things only a female. Listen, there's some things. Let me tell you something. How the proper way to be a man. A woman can't teach him how to be a man. That's not fair, Antoine. So you're telling me a woman can teach a boy how to be a man? You're telling me a man can teach a girl?
What is being a man?
Being a man is a lot of things. Distilling it. Okay.
Please.
Yes. Okay. Being a man is being able to take responsibility for your own actions. It's being.
That's something that a woman can do. By the way.
There's certain things that a woman's gonna look for in a man. And again, without making things overly personal, if you don't interact with women, if you can show me women that want what you say, I'm not saying they don't exist. I think that everybody should read. There's actually, when we first started the show, I used to mention books to read. I think that everybody should sit down and read the Combahee River Collection Statement. It is a group of black female nationalists who were operating in the Panthers, who operated in the Black Power movement, who operated in the Civil Rights movement, and the SNCC as powerful organizers in their community. And they wrote a letter about how feminism did not comment on their status as black women, and black nationalism did not comment on their status as black women. How they were failed both by white women and by black men because black men could not correctly internalize their condition and would not respond specifically to sexism. That statement is a public record. This is the Combahee River Collection Statement. I will post it on Facebook today. I want everybody to read that because women have been theorizing about these absences since they've been fighting for power. The women's suffrage movement was an interesting movement precisely because it was mostly white women who were speaking against black men getting rights, and black women were saying, "What about me?" Right. Now again, women like Bell Hooks, women like Angela Davis, women like Lorraine Hansberry. These are people who have theorized a position for black women, and they theorize a philosophy behind it. They call it womanism. Now, some people, they usually distill it to black feminism. I suppose you can call it that, but it's called womanism. And through womanism, they have documented the particular ways both sexism and racism impact them. And the reason why sexism and racism impacts them is because it comes from all directions. Inside their family, outside their family.
So again, I think that if you're not hearing, if people are not hearing women who are saying that we just have to expand our orbit to include the women that are making these statements.
And again, based on my interactions in my 52 years,
We
53.
interacted with different women, Herschel.
I've interacted with women. I don't know what you've interacted with. That's what I'm speaking on me. Not a judgment. Not a judgment. I'm just saying. No. I'm just saying. Okay. I can. And when I say interacted, it's not always or all romantic. It's within social orbits as well.
Absolutely.
There are certain expectations of men that women have. There are certain expectations that are different. Most women, and I would venture to say all. Now, you may want to dissect it and play word games with it, but all women want to feel secure with whatever man they're with. They want to feel a certain security that the man will come to their aid or their defense, if warranted. Under your theory, I would only do, if I did that, I would be taking away her power. That's been my argument. This is my stand up.
No. Look, Herschel.
JD is in the house. Hey, JD.
Herschel put him on mute.
Hey, JD.
Herschel put him on. Look. I think that part of the thing that expanding our reading to, I think that we as black men, we who consider ourselves black radicals, we who consider ourselves part of the black radical tradition in any respect, we have to take seriously the critiques from women in that tradition of the way black men engage themselves. There's actually a book, and again, this is both related and unrelated to our. I think you probably read it, Herschel. Mr. Cleaver, Eldridge Cleaver. He wrote a book called Soul on Ice. In that book, which everybody should read with a critical eye, in that book he discusses how he raped black women as practice to figure out how to rape white women. That's in the book. Now, we have to consider the way our posture towards women actually place them in a position where we force them to be subordinate to us in an organizational context. We have to interact with how the adoption and assimilation of patriarchy, which is a white philosophy, which is an imposed philosophy, we have to understand how the adoption of patriarchy in a black context actually put men in positions where they were unable to see the resources that black women could provide as equals in those organizations. And then we need to see how that weakened us. We need to see how that fractured us, how that brought cleavages against us, how that made us less likely to unify because black women in an organizational context couldn't trust you to check yourself and you were not curious enough to read them. We have to take this seriously.
No.
We do. We have to take this seriously. It's a thing that happened, and it's a thing that continues to happen. And we have to note how even modern movements, like the Vision for Black Lives, like Black Lives Matter, the people who were credited for creating Black Lives Matter, organizers on the ground, it was mostly women who started. Now, it was not men men participated. Men were highly involved and organized at the highest level. But one of the reasons why they moved away from a traditional organizational structure is because they knew that it would eventually become a patriarchal structure like it was under the SCLC. We have to take these critiques seriously because they had to take them seriously at the time.
I will say this, Andrew. I hear in the world in which we live, optics is everything. Listen to what I'm saying. When you neuter or you feminize the male image of power, you make it okay for people to come in. You hear me? You make it okay to come in and abuse our children and our women. I didn't say that women couldn't fight. I didn't say our children couldn't fight. But it sounds awfully close to you abdicating your responsibility. Listen to what I'm saying. As a man, because here's the thing. They are less apt to come in that door if they see 10 strong black men stand out there. I don't give a damn what their sexuality is. If it's 10 black men standing out there and the women are in here doing what they have to do, they're not coming in that door. Now, if they see women out there, not to say that they'll get in the door, but they'll be more apt to try. Do you understand what I'm saying? So your black masculinity is on display. And when it's no different than wearing blackface in the 50s. You make a buffoon out of yourself so people don't take you seriously. When black men stand up, it allows the whole movement to be strong. But when you look like a jackass wearing feathers and makeup and flouncing around, I'm not saying anything about your sexuality. I'm saying about the appearance of strength. So when a black man appears strong, people are less apt to try.
And I gotta ask,
it won't stop them. It's not a guarantee, but they are less apt to try something when there's the appearance of strength. And strength is in the eye of the beholder. Because like you said, I'm not saying that women are weak, but in the society that we live in, they think that women are weak. But the reason our struggles have always prevailed is because our women fought with us. And this is why we have to stand up with our women and for our women at all times. And always be strong in our appearance.
Again, ask yourself this question. Look strong to who?
To the whole world.
No.
To the whole world.
What we're doing in that context is precisely what black people, what people in the civil rights movement were doing in the 60s. They were looking at society as constructed. They were looking at society as constructed, and they were reflecting their notions of both respectability and leadership. And those notions were both classist and sexist. So what happened? We ended up having a movement dominated top-heavy by male preachers. And the women who were doing just as much work behind the scenes ended up getting knocked aside, stepped on, and stepped over, while the men took leadership and the men took charge. Listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when we as a people are reflecting dynamics that are unjust, that are stupid, that are substanceless, that are based on appearance and not on reality, when we adopt things that we know are wrong, it weakens us. When we adopt things that we know are wrong, it takes away from our capacity to use resistance and to use radicalism to reshape and redefine what right should be.
Well, I'm going to ask you the same question you answered.
Okay, by all means.
Now, like you said,
okay.
What if tomorrow we was all wearing dresses and makeup and carrying man back?
Okay.
How would it benefit us? Since you said
no.
You asked me what's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You tell me what's the best case scenario.
There is no benefit. It's entirely neutral. There is no benefit. It is entirely neutral. And that's actually the point that I was making. In the context that we're in, where here's the problem here. I think that by an emphasis on narrative and an emphasis on image is not critical enough about who we are projecting that image to and at what expense. In the context that we are in, we should not be doing spot checks on each other where we're determining our strength and weakness based on what we're wearing personally.
It has total bearing, Antoine, because,
no, it really doesn't.
Because when your enemy comes, they're going to look for the weak link, not for the strong. But if they're
defining it by their own notions,
it doesn't matter. But again, this is what, these things are distractions to take away from us doing what we have to do.
I agree with the distractions, but
so that's where the attack comes from.
There are distractions.
That's where the attack comes from. That's where the attack comes from.
The weak link is our response. It isn't them targeting the dresses.
So my response is, no, you need to stop wearing that dress because of. I didn't tell him who he needs to have sex with or who he had to love. I told him he needs to appear to be someone that his mother can depend on if something goes wrong. He needs to look like somebody you can depend on if you get accosted by the Klan or whomever. If you see him in a dress, you'll be like, nah, he ain't gonna help me because he don't want to break his nails or drop his purse. Has nothing to do with sexuality. What I'm saying is this.
If we're an actually organized community, we're not going to be doing spot checks to know who has the guns and who doesn't. We're going to be knowing them by name. We're going to know the security team by name. We're going to know them by their dress. We're going to know them by where they're standing and who they're organizing with. So, the reason why we're using spot checks is because we're not organized like that, Herschel.
and we're not educated. Aesthetics are very important, Antoine. Because let me tell you, for security purposes, there are reasons that
some aesthetics are important.
They're very important because
some are and some aren't.
Because the appearance, when there's a strong showing of strength, whether it's perceived or actual, it will lessen the odds of you being attacked straight on. It's not a guarantee, but it'll lessen. You take for instance, Mr. Farrakhan. We've talked about it.
Yeah, we got.
Whether you agree with him or not, whether you like him or not, he will always provide protection for black folks. Would you agree?
His organization.
His organization will. Right, that's what I'm saying. Now, here's my point. Now, I can't tell you if the FOI is armed. I can't tell you if they're prepared to listen. No. Listen to my point. I can't tell you what they're prepared to do or not to do. I can tell you this: it is a great deterrent for the powers that be. Yes or no? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, whatever's under that trench coat or not, whatever's under that suit or not, the appearance of strength itself. I can't tell you whether those men are straight, gay, pansexual. Again, it's about appearance. They don't get harassed because of the appearance of strength. They might be the weakest men in America. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? And nobody knows, but it's enough of a deterrent. It's enough that you've never heard the police at anything attack the FOI or challenge them. Not because they don't know, but they show strength.
Now, I do want us to back up a little bit and look at this organization, because I think that one of the factors here is that a lot of people don't know who the FOI is. I could mention FOI in a black church, and I promise you that maybe 10% may know who the FOI is.
Maybe that's
yeah. So I think that we might be overstating you might be overstating the way aesthetics are governed. The reason why the FOI is good is because they do crowd control.
But wait a minute.
Because they police perimeters.
The police know who they are, right?
Yeah, you very likely.
This is my point.
The FOIs are just there for the police.
But Antoine, it does keep the police
because they are organized.
And there's an appearance. There's an appearance of strength, whether it's perceived or actual. We don't know because we haven't seen. We've seen the FOI at different events.
Yeah.
I've never seen it challenged.
Personally, again, I'm
talking about the perception of the outside world. So the powers that be, the racist police, won't come in and attack. I've never seen them do it with the FOI person. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not saying it hasn't. I said I haven't seen it. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. I just haven't seen it.
I think that again, we need to look at it. We need to model the way black militias have formulated themselves in the past. Anything from the Deacons for Defense of Justice.
Look at the screen. Are we breaking up? We started pixelating.
No, we're fine. Yeah. Everything. Oh wow, you're right. That's interesting.
We started.
No. But what I was going to say was that I think that we need to look at black militias in practice. In black militias in practice, they generally emphasize both internal policing and a form of external protection from external forces. They generally are organized in a way so that they are looking at perimeters, are looking to see who's both outside certain perimeters and inside certain perimeters. And with the Deacons for Defense and Justice, not everybody knew that they were carrying. Not everybody knew who they were. But the police did. Oh no. Well, I think we have to be kind of careful of that because all the black people back there were armed.
And the police didn't know who was armed?
I think they assumed that all black people were armed.
Right. So the assumption was everybody was armed.
But I think that in this, the protection is not coming from the aesthetics. The protection is coming from the fact of organization.
The aesthetics.
You do not. Aesthetics are not a militia.
The aesthetics kept the powers to be at bay. Now, just because the police assumed that everybody was armed. People within the movement didn't assume that everybody was armed.
Yeah.
So some of them thought they were out there on a limb with no protection.
Well, again,
right?
there was organizations, there was a rapport with the people who were involved. People knew who was armed and who wasn't. Now, if you're in a context where you know who's armed and who isn't, who's organized and who isn't, who's trained and who isn't, and who's under who, you don't care if they're wearing a dress or not. You just care whether or not they can be vouched for by that organization.
The powers that be, your enemy, is going to strategize on how to attack you based on what.
And they're going to be wrong. They're going to be wrong.
Based on the intel that they get.
We should not be determining tactics based on the misconceptions of our enemies.
Antoine, it weakens.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Weakness is not determined by how your enemy judges you.
Sure it is.
No, it's not.
Sure it is.
It is not.
Okay.
I'm not going to give white people control and say over how my community dresses or looks.
It's not a matter of.
I'm not.
Antoine, I just. You can't tell me that men dressing effeminate is a neutral action.
Yeah, it is.
It is not. Have some kids and tell me how your kids. Again, listen. Let me tell you something. When you raise children, you'll see how it affects them. I hear you, Antoine. You have some children and see how the things that they see on TV.
I don't think you know how children behave in this generation, Russell. I don't think you've seen Gen Z.
We got one right here. Ask him. And instead of me flapping my gums, ask him if it's neutral. Instead of me assuming that it is, that it isn't, and you assuming it is, ask him.
No, but let me define neutral first. Neutral is an action.
Don't address it to me. Address it to him.
Neutral is an action that carries no salience and no consequences. Neutral is an action that neither harms or helps. Does wearing just imagine your best friend. If he wears a dress, does that harm you? If your best friend, assuming that he's male, if he wears a dress, does that harm you?
Well, ask him this.
No. That's a neutral action. I said that.
That's a very personal.
It might depend, maybe, because if they see you hanging out with them like that, they're going to think that you're weak and you're kind of soft too. Maybe. Again,
you're taking a very personal concept. I'm talking about these guys that have an audience. I'm talking about these guys that have videos or whatever, and they reach thousands of children. I'm not talking about an individual case. I'm talking about somebody that may come out, you know, let's say one of these rappers, and they got the man bag and the skirt. Now, you have a broader audience, Antoine. Okay. You have a broader audience, not just a personal friend. When you see guys, some of these rappers, that, you know, it has nothing to me, has nothing to do with their sexuality. They're still talking about girls and whatever else. But the appearance of them in dresses and lipstick and I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Now, so you're saying that has a neutral effect on children?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Again, I think that adults have to see. You know, remember, when I was coming up, they thought that.
I'm gonna have to ask your parents about that.
Off there.
I think they're
wait a second. They probably did. No. When I was coming up, there was a scare about video games. They assumed that stuff like Mortal Kombat was going to make children violent. Now, the actual effect has been that we are the least violent, we're the least likely to commit assault, least likely to murder, least likely to actually commit violent crimes in the United States. Our generation, my generation, has been has facilitated the most precipitous drop in crime that we have seen. Adults. I'm sorry.
Wait, you left off something else. You left off something else.
Wait a second.
I've heard about
Wait a second.
Y'all have the least sex out of all the generation. Come on, you leaving it alone. That's your problem. You backed up.
Wait a second. Adults made the exact same argument then that the adults are making now. They made the argument that the reception of images was going to make violent children that would just go up to people and commit fatalities against others and start shooting them up like Doom and everything else. And it was just fear mongering. It was a moral panic over something that was assumed. And what it was is that it was adults projecting their insecurities and their embarrassment and assuming that it would have political salience for the children. Now, I'm sorry that a rapper wearing a dress embarrasses some of the people that we see in older generations, but you know what? I just asked the video if I don't want to look at it, y'all.
That's you, Antoine.
I just asked the video when I don't want to look at it. And you know what? Y'all can do the same
You're
thing.
making a very, again, you're doing what you tell people don't do. You have to look at the broader.
Yeah,
that's why I
didn't make the broader picture.
That's why I didn't make the broader picture. You asked them about personally one person.
People okay, no. Let's flip it outwards. Let's imagine an athlete or a rapper. Your favorite athlete or rapper is on a video wearing a dress, having a beautiful blue dress, the umbrella. He's a black dude. Just imagine that.
Like
imagine that. Imagine that. Are you gonna do the same thing, Rez? Are you gonna dress like the guy in the video?
No. Dress like
Are you gonna dress? Yeah, of course not. You know why?
Wait.
You know why?
But here's the question. Will somebody else do it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Really?
Yes. That's my point. Wait, when you raise children, you go to these schools. Let me tell you something.
That's like with the rappers, because you see how they have the baggy pants and all like the ripped up jeans and stuff. They do that.
All children. Listen, Antoine, you make everything specific to yourself, and that's good for you. I didn't do some of the things that I didn't jump off the building trying to fly like Superman either. That's me. Somebody did. Rez may not do it, but he goes to school. My daughter tells me stories every day. Somebody fighting. Somebody doing something, beefing about something stupid they saw on TV. Something stupid they saw on a video. Something stupid they saw on the video. JD, you know when you're laughing at, I showed it. But you can get them later. So this is my point to you, Antoine. You're looking at things through your own eyes. And I'm trying not to put my own spin. I'm telling you what I hear every day from my daughter. I interact with Rez because we go to the same place for church. So him, some of the other kids, Chris, I talk to them. I'm not projecting anything. When they tell me stories, this is why I don't watch some movies and soaps, because I get better stories from these kids. Some of them are horrible. So these are the stories that they won't publish in the newspaper. These are the stories they won't put in the magazine. Just like you told me, there are things he might not do. But if I start to sit you with these kids and they tell you about the things they see on a daily basis, the things that these kids imitate, these kids that are taking Molly's and taking all these, simply because some rapper said this is what to do.
Exactly.
They're not doing it because this is
that image and they just.
Thank you, Red. This is all Antoine. I'm telling you, kids are highly impressionable. I'm not saying every child, there's nothing that's going to reach everybody. People can't agree on the same God. People can't even agree on the fact that we're not free. Everything is not going to affect everybody the same. I have to look at our whole community. And on a whole, we can't afford to lose 3 or 4 kids out of 10 to this bullcrap. We can't afford it. We can't afford it, is my argument. We can't afford it. Right now is not playtime. We can't afford to lose 2 or even 1 to this bullcrap. Playtime is over. That's my point. We can't play a numbers game here. We have to go with what's going to work and give our children the best shot at the future. And if you sit down, this is what I want to set up. I want you to talk to them and ask them the question. And again, these are not my views. This is from talking to children like Reds, my daughter, the kids they go to school with, some of these other kids I interact with. I couldn't make this. I don't have that good of imagination. And I can't imagine some of the pressures that they're under. I can't. I'm telling you, it's unfathomable. And we have to be concerned because every child does not have a good support system, Antoine.
No,
this is why there has to be men in every household orbit. There has to be women in every house. If a single parent home has only a man, it's still a broken home, Antoine. It still needs a female because there are certain things that a female brings to a relationship and to the upbringing of a child. A single male household is as broken as a single female household, Antoine. We have to do this together, is my point. I don't give a damn what your sexual proclivity is. Our children need strong men in their orbit. They need strong women in their orbit. And we got to get off of our high horses and do what's best for our children. Because what we're doing is leaving nothing for them. Arguing over who should have power and who shouldn't. The children need the power, Antoine, and they need to be trained up on how to take that power. Because just like you said, power is never ceded. is taken. While we're arguing over women, man, whatever, we need to get together and show our children how to take power and how to conduct themselves in a way that's going to be beneficial to them. Because by the time Rez is my age, I'm going to be somewhere trying to sip on my tie, looking at some young girl. Hear me? I ain't going to want to fight no more. I want Rez here fighting for the children coming up behind them. But if we don't get off our butts, there's not going to be a future for them.
And I think that as people with younger people in our orbit, as people who are responsible and conscious of the problems in our community, I think that we have to pick our battles. And I'll just go so far as to say that this is one of them. We're in a context where evisceration has left children starving. We're in a context where the state refuses to give them health insurance. We're in a context where discipline has become a tool that white schools and white systems use to target and express their anxieties and fear toward Black people. We're in a context where teachers feel free to call their Black students the N-word. This is the context that we're in. This is the fight that we are having, and this is the thing that's going to be determinative for how our children end up coming up, for what they learn and how they learn. And I think that when we fixate on things like this, it becomes a stand-in for the actual substantive harms that they are under and the actual pressures they're facing.
But you had a final word.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You are a gentleman.
It's not a matter of, and see what I'm saying? It's not a matter of agreement, because I don't agree with you. No. But what I'm saying, Antoine, we're intelligent Black men.
Right.
It's no need for me to say, well, Antoine's an idiot, or him to say, oh, Herschel's stupid, he don't know what he's talking about. That's not going to fix anything. It's not going to fix anything. It's not. Oh, you see it? Is that over there?
Hey, that was Hillary Clinton, too.
Well, the mics are down, so he could, yeah. No, I'm saying he can hear it.
Right.
Yeah. But, and this is what we're trying to portray. We have to be able to have these discussions and come up with solutions, like you said. But we do have to identify, because again, you may not see the things that I see because of the orbit that I'm in. And like I said, that's what I'm telling you. If you get around some children,
I see them all the time. Right?
If you,
I think that what's funny is that most of the children we're talking about, they are very, very, very free with their lives themselves on the internet. Have you seen? Not even just the internet, but both in person in schools. I don't want to actually speak on the air about my, but we'll talk about that after this. But I think that.
Real talk with Herschel.
Yeah.
This is behind the scenes going.
I think that in terms of how gender roles are defined, in terms of how they're expressed, in terms of what's acceptable, things have changed, Herschel. Things have changed, and things that once had salience, to your generation, has very little salience for my generation and generation after. For a lot of people.
Not for a lot.
Not for everyone, but for a lot.
We've had this conversation before. And remember, I've talked to some of the girls and some of the young ladies in your generation. And some of them have those same views that I have. Yeah. And I'm telling you, because you see children, this is what I'm saying. Seeing children and interacting. I interact with these kids on a unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? So some of them confide in me, and some of the things I just, Antoine, it break your heart. And that's what I'm telling you. Some of the things that are told to me in confidence, some of the things, some of the stories that I get, whether it be from Red, like some of the things I get from my daughter, are just unbelievable. I mean, and most of it is because the adults around them are failing. They don't have anybody to talk to. The people are talking at the children